morning to you. I know I became Irish all of a sudden. But at any rate, thank you for joining us today at Just Talking Business. I am Stephanie Van Bark, and I'm a small business owner. Today, I go back to that place and space, that industry that I'm quite passionate about, not because I'm an artist, but I am a creative. So those creative industries always intrigue me. And I think it's a great opportunity for those that want to be in the industry to learn more about this craft. The gentleman we have on today, his name is Alfonso Dionisio Brooks. And I'm going to make sure I say it that correctly. Dionisio Brooks. He's from Afrikin and Rockers Movement. And he's going to talk to us a lot about the art experience, but also in particular, the African art experience. So welcome. Hey there. How are you today?
Good morning, and well, how about yourself?
Very good. Very good. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, first of all, I want to make sure I said your name right. Alfonso Dionisio.
You got it perfect. Thank
Hey,
you.
good. Good. I'm very big on names, so to make sure I get that right. Alfonso Dionisio Brooks. Thank you for joining us today. Let's start with who you are and what you do.
I'm a contemporary African, considered a social entrepreneur,
Mhm.
humanitarian, and activist.
Okay. Okay. Now, wait. Okay. So you're the first person to say that sort of out loud. Social entrepreneur. Talk to us a little bit about what that is.
I'm a business person that has social activism attached to everything that I do. I am
Okay.
not just doing business for business. And in my entrepreneurship, I do things to also advance humanitarian causes that the
Okay.
impact that we do must also have a social arm attached to it. That's why you see many things that we do in the community attached to charity. That's the reason that we have our Afrikin as a nonprofit organization, because it's one thing to art activations, but allow the art activations to actually benefit the community. And that's
Okay.
made me, a social entrepreneur.
Because I think you're the first entrepreneur we've talked to that has, I mean, I know we've had entrepreneurs on that are social entrepreneurs, but I think that's the first time we've really sort of talked about what that is and that it is a real thing. Is it a lucrative opportunity for you?
It depends on how you define lucrative, because lucrative people often weigh that to currency and
Mhm.
from a fiat currency, and fiat currency is a dying currency, but we can get into that later. But
Right.
understanding what lucrative is, absolutely, because it's our responsibility to make the world a better place. And
Okay.
whether we do that in our art, in our being, or in our business, that's our responsibility. That each day in what we do, that we're actually, making this place better than how we got here. So
Okay.
consider lucrative? Absolutely. I am in this for
Okay.
posterity.
Okay. So I was reading your bio and I read, and I guess I want to understand. First of all, you're a serial entrepreneur. Thank you so much. We'll get into that in a moment, what that day looks like. But if I understand correctly, Rockers Movement promotes creatives or artists, and African promotes products. Um,
No, no. So
okay,
there's two different things. So we have two arms. I have two different organizations. So Rockers Movement is stands on reggae and reggae
okay,
festivals and art, and we do festivals each year to benefit the disenfranchised. Our festivals are food drive festivals. We've
okay,
done the Bayside Rocks Festival, the One Love Festival, the Miami Reggae Festival, and we have
okay,
Rockers Movement Radio. Those all fall under the Rockers brand. Like I tell
okay.
my team all the time, Rockers is the hippie tree hugging arm of what we do. That's the best I can say it. And
If it works.
African, it's our upper echelon, elite, black, pan African, really high end aspect of black people and what it means to be African. This is why I call myself a contemporary African, because African bridges continental Africa and the African diaspora through strategic business partnerships and cultural connections. That's why you see our art exhibits at African Art Fair, our literary discussions, our seminars. These are intended to promote the positive image of Africa and people of
Mhm.
African origin. Those are how we separate the two different entities.
Now, which came first, and did one lead to the other? Or did you
Uh,
feel like there's a
Rockers,
need?
Rockers started first. Rockers came
Mhm.
first because I've been in the festival industry my whole life. I've
Mhm.
been in music since I was 15 years old. It's like a
Okay.
really, really long time ago. I was born in the music business.
Okay.
So I've been doing festivals all over the world. I'm a sound engineer by profession.
Okay.
I've toured all over the world with all likes of artists. So going into the festival realm as Rockers became rather easy. And once
Mhm.
again, attaching the social activism to it by making all the festivals be food drive. We've donated tons and tons of food here locally in South Florida and beyond.
Okay.
We've done
Okay.
festivals from New York, Denver, internationally, Europe, Africa, the
Okay.
Caribbean. So that's Rockers. And we in 2016 we decided that we needed to really focus more on our people. What
Okay.
can we do for our people in their birthed African? That
Okay.
show that how we can do. I used to say the word that we pivoted, but it's not really pivoted because Rocker still exists.
And
So in order
it's an
to pivot,
extension of.
exactly. So to
Okay.
pivot, you would have to say, okay, that doesn't no longer doing that. But no, they're two separate entities. But African was birthed because we saw a void in the marketplace
Okay.
and we saw where the energy was leading us and what
Okay.
needed to be done, especially here in South Florida. In South
Mhm.
Florida, there was a dire need to have representation of African culture and heritage. There were drops in the bucket that was around,
Mhm.
but there's this misconception that everything of African or Black culture is a party, and it's not been.
Right.
You know,
Right.
yeah. So we
Thank
really
you for
needed,
saying that out
yeah, we
loud.
needed to address that. Yeah. So African, we took that mantle up and said, no, we're going to address this and deal with it. And I must say that and some of my advisors they were against it because they said,
Mhm.
why not New York? Because I have a footprint in New York. They said Africa will be so much more lucrative in New York because there's not a Black footprint in South Florida
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that could evaluate or validate the investment that African would require. And I said, no, but that even makes it more impactful that you
Mhm.
could start from the bottom where there is nothing. I'm a
Brilliant.
very, very strong believer in God. If
Mhm.
God tell me this is where we're going, this is where I'm going without question. Not but why, not but there's no buts. If he said this is where we're going, this is where we're going. It's that simple. And this is what we've been doing with African, and it's coming to be what we imagine it to be and beyond.
Well, you touch on something interesting, and I think we talked about it briefly before the show. We'll look at it both at a local level and on a global level. I've seen the evolution of what the African art experience has grown to become. I'm not an artist myself, but I have really come to appreciate the fact that there is an industry out there for folks like you and I who are creatives. But it is a challenge in this market. There's just no doubt about it. Um, have you? How do you feel about that? I mean, I'm an outsider looking in, watching it grow. Do you feel like it's growing quickly? Do you feel like there's been a great deal of investment in it? This is a $64 billion industry. Art just became a thing in Miami in its totality, what, 10 years ago? So, what does that look like for the Black artist and globally?
Well, so there are many sides to that. Yes, it's evolving and it's evolving rapidly, not
Mm,
just here in South Florida, but on a global scale. But yes, we're still a drop in the bucket.
mm,
Black art in the grand scheme of things, it's still less than 1%. You know
mhm.
what I mean? It's still a good old boys club, and we haven't really broken that glass ceiling yet. Will it be broken? Absolutely. Sorry.
Uh-huh. No, I was just about to
Yeah.
ask, do you think that's because of lack of talent
Oh no,
or
it can
lack
never
of
be based
investment?
on. No, it's
Mhm.
never based on talent or investment. Look, once again, the good old boys club doesn't have no gauge except being in the good old boys club. People must understand. No, for real. It's a misconception because you can have the most. Take it right now. Let's make Jean Michel. Jean Michel's art when Jean Michel was alive in New York, right on
Mhm.
Strivers Row. A striving artist. The
Right.
work hasn't changed. You understand?
Right. Just somebody figured
The
it out.
acceptance changed.
Right.
You,
Right.
you see
Okay.
that?
Very good point. Very good
Yeah,
point. Very good
and
point.
this is the game because when the gatekeepers control something
Hmm.
that they don't want, and there's nothing you can do but come together. And that's lead me into what we need to do more of in South Florida.
Hmm.
There
Hmm.
is not enough of us working together. There's way too much segmentation in the marketplace,
Hmm.
and that's a conditioning. It's a construct that's been embedded in us as a people
Hmm.
because you and it's not just based on black. It's just based on humans because you come from Russia and you go to Sunny Isles. You know,
Hmm.
you come
Hmm.
from Haiti, you go to Haiti. You
Right.
come from
Right.
Jamaica, you go to Fort Lauderdale. You come from Cuba, you go to Little Havana.
Right.
Because and the crazy part about that psychologically is that we say that we're trying to escape something for a better something, but go right back to the
Next
thing
to
that we were
it.
running away from. You see the conundrum.
Good
So yeah,
point.
it gets rather interesting when you really sit down and study the psychology of what it is and what people think that they want or think that they're doing. To lead us all the way back to art, Miami have so much talent, but
Hmm.
I believe that we spend too much time looking at the top of the mountain and how many steps it takes to get there instead of the step in front of us.
Right.
We don't want to take the time, and granted, the city calls for that. Miami, it was a party city.
Hmm. Yeah,
Miami is
absolutely.
it's America's Riviera Front.
It
This is
is.
what it is. This is
It
what it
is.
escaped to. It was never a place that had community living.
And
This
culture.
is really new, and culture. This is really
Hmm.
new. And
Hmm.
but the people and since it happened and people started living here, because remember, this wasn't a place to live, it was a place that people vacation to.
Hmm.
That's what it
Hmm.
was. You know,
Yeah.
when I tell people that design district wasn't design district 10 or 15 years ago, this was trees. People thought, what are you talking about? I said, this was trees. Okay. I've been coming to
And bad
Miami for
buildings.
years. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I try to explain to people this, and it's foreign to them. But the mistake that we make here as a beautiful city, and mind you, I love my city. I love Miami.
Hmm.
You know
Hmm.
what I mean? This it's just beautiful to watch it, to watch the different shifts of people, the different cultures that's in the marketplace. It's
Hmm.
beautiful to watch. It inspires you every day. But we must remember what is the thing that we're using to emulate ourselves with.
Hmm.
Too often you find us here in Miami trying to emulate New York and California and
Yes,
trying to say what, but we're not this. Yo, we are a young city. We we,
we
we
are.
became a city yesterday.
You're right. You're
We
right.
must grow organically. You know,
Mhm.
embrace our growth, embrace what we've accomplished and not what we haven't accomplished yet. You know, too many people spend time saying what we haven't accomplished yet, but what about what we've accomplished? Look
Right.
how far we've come in such a short time.
Right.
I
Right.
saw I saw an article a couple of days ago from Mayor Suarez about the crypto fund.
Bitcoin. Yeah, I
Yes,
saw
yes,
that.
the crypto fund, and he said that was not tax generated. That's a major accomplishment. Like,
Right.
I mean, major. And I mean, the Bitcoin conference that happens here in Miami, major accomplishment. The things
Hmm.
that are happening in Magic City, major accomplishments. I mean, when we do African as a Black art fair, that is new. But when you look at what Art Africa has been doing, what
Hmm.
Prism Art Fair has been doing,
Hmm.
what Yielding Art Gallery, what Art Beat Miami do. You know, these people have been in the marketplace making major moves. And when
Hmm.
you think about it, it's Miami is it has culture, it has
It does.
diversity. We are the what you call that, the
The
model or the
melting pot.
blueprint of
Uh-huh.
what diversity looks like in
I
this
agree.
country.
I agree. I
This
agree.
is it. You know, New York is a melting pot, yes, but New York is it's a different blueprint. They have too long of a time to
Hmm.
weigh themselves compared to where we are and what we've accomplished in such a short stint of time. I think there must be accreditation handed over for that.
So
Sorry for
you
being so
talked
long-winded.
about a little bit, and by the way, I've got all these questions, but while you talking, I'm like, I got to talk about that. So you talked about, and you're right, like Wynwood, the design district, you should see it now. If you are somewhere else in the world, it is an amazing space. But it was, trees and bad buildings, um, development.
Mhm.
has become the industry for this community, especially during the pandemic. And it's interesting when you're sitting in rooms where they're talking about buildings and development. There is a serious conversation about the art that's going to be included in the construction of those buildings. Have
I
you
lose your
seen?
audio. I cannot hear your question. I
Hello?
apologize.
Did you can't hear me?
I
Hello?
can't.
Oh wow, that's not good. Hold on. Wait, let's see. I didn't go to mute. That's not good. What am I doing wrong? Do you
It
hear me
might be
now?
me. It might be me. I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, perfect, 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 perfect. Well, what I wanted to know was, you talked about, Winwood and um that community growing, which means development has become a big thing in this community. Um, I've sat in rooms where they're talking about building buildings, and art is an intricate part of that discussion. Um, have you found that to be one of the um, ways or one of the revenue streams for you and your company, or for some of the artists that and a positive move in the direction of building an industry here?
Um, art is community. We must remember
Mhm,
that art art is it's the human component. Art is the soul of who we are as a community. This
mhm,
is really key to understanding, and it's so unfortunate that governing bodies and schools don't see the value of what art is and what it does for a human being. We
mhm.
must understand that these developers, and you see it more today, like you just said, that
Absolutely.
they,
Mhm,
they have more art presence within their activations, within their
mhm,
development, and within their structures. Actually, they actually have art spaces being
mhm.
developed in what would normally just be a high rise. Now you
Right.
have a high rise with the art component attached to it.
Right. Right.
This is because the world has shifted. We must accept that the paradigm of who we are as human beings have shifted tremendously. I don't know if it shifted as a way forward or actually a way back to who we originally were or meant to be.
Mhm,
That discussion is
mhm,
still up in the air because if you speak to the elders and, especially when you go into native indigenous people, they speak so highly of the arts. You
right.
understand? Whereas we thought to advance and to do all these different things, it's like take it from a health standpoint. I eat a plant-based diet for so long, and for many years we thought, oh, it was fast food. Oh, we gotta get this. Oh, we
Mhm,
need this. And you
mhm.
realize, oh no, that's not working for us.
That's
We
not
need to
what
slow down. That's what
right,
we need to do. We need to really slow down instead of speed up because we
right.
don't need to get there in a hurry. We just need to get there at a pace that really supports not just us individually, but the community and then the whole world. Because
Mhm.
once again, if we're not doing it for posterity, right, then what are we doing it? If you look at all the ancient people, right, and the hieroglyphs and the statues and the monuments and the different things, they always taught about posterity.
Right. That's true.
You
And that's
know,
that's basically how we've learned a lot of our history is through many of the
this is what it
articles
is. Because had
'cause
they
we
not
wouldn't
left
know.
anything, yeah,
We
had they not
wouldn't-
left anything for us or done things for us to understand it, how would we have been able to advance? How would
Mhm.
we have known this existed? You
Exactly.
know, we,
Exactly.
we need a blueprint to follow. It leads me into to NFTs, for example, and understanding like there's a joke in the NFT community, right? Where someone said, but I could just right click and screenshot your NFT and have it. No, you don't.
No, you
You
really
have
can't.
you have a screenshot of a picture of an image of something, you understand? But the intricate code that is embedded within that NFT and the perks that comes with ownership in that. And this
Mhm.
is what it lends to because this is what we need to get to as black artists and black creators and black entrepreneurs. It's about ownership. When we understand the value in ownership, this is where we evolve because this is what these developers come into. Because yes, they still give us a space, but then they take it away when they have. I mean,
Absolutely.
this is what Winwood was. Winwood was an art space. It was beautiful. Everyone was there. Then they took it away.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
understand? And then it became the commercial beautiful high-end places, whatever it may be. But it's not the organic place that can have local artists exhibiting their work and creating opportunities for ownership. If we don't have opportunities for ownership, we cannot sustain ourselves.
Which
We
is, I
need
mean,
reasons.
so I mean, okay, so now you really have tapped on a thing there for me. In the creative industry, you know, we just don't think like that. There is a passion for the work, but there has not been a passion for the business. So, you know, is that one of the ways Afrikin and has taken up that charge in a social entrepreneurship space for those artists and really educated in that way?
100%, absolutely. Because I am not an artist. I can't draw. I can't paint. When I was in school, I skipped art class. I like that. That's a free hour for me. You know what I mean? I'm not that. I mean, I'm a writer. I'm in the music world. I'm in that type of artist. But visual art,
I can't do
I
no
doesn't have an
art.
inkling of talent, none whatsoever. But I am a businessman, as
Mhm.
Jay would say. I am a businessman.
Mhm.
So people must understand that it is always the business of. If we cannot focus on the business of ... we will never sustain ourselves, because we live in a world of currency. And if we cannot allow the thing that we do, that we're most passionate about, to be the thing that sustains us, we will always fail. We will always be a product to someone else. This has hurted our community for too long.
Mhm.
We're too smart. This is the beauty. This is the beauty of blockchain. This is the beauty of crypto, the beauty of NFTs. It has leveled the playing field that allows Black artists the opportunity. They got no excuse. You have the opportunity to present your work to a global scale that the Goto Boys Club prevented you from getting into before. Now you can show your art to those same people that you said you didn't have access to sell your art to.
You can
Now
now.
you do. So now you don't have an excuse. So who are you sitting with? Who are you educating yourself with, that you can find ways and means to position yourself and your art so the world can know what you do, where you are, and how to advance that you're doing?
So let's say I'm an artist, and I am not. I'm worse than you are, by the way, in terms of something. But I'm done painting with a twist. Um, I come to you, and I have artwork. I'm very talented. How would I sell my artwork through Afrikin, or am I sort of in an incubator process to help me become a business person in this industry?
So we have different arms. So
Okay.
Afrikin has a workshop arm that teaches you and gives you the knowledge that you need to position yourself to be more independent with your art. That is
Okay.
one arm that we do with Afrikin. But then we also have the arm of the art exhibits and our art store and our online platforms, where we showcase your art and we present your art to our different collectors, and we advertise you that people can know who you are. We send it in our weekly newsletters, on our social media platforms, and at our exhibits that we hold during Miami Art Week and different events throughout the year, that we give them double opportunities to present themselves to the world. And we're always reaching out to other different establishments here locally to see what they were doing. How can we be a part of what you're doing? How can we present these artists on your platform? Because
Okay.
for us, once again, it's about the grand scheme of things.
Mhm.
If we can go to the world as a united front, then we become unstoppable. But the outsiders looking at the marketplace see us still so separated. They say we don't have it together yet.
Right, and we
Because
don't know enough about it.
I have a dream, Stephanie, that Miami Art Week is a key season for us all.
Mhm.
And it is so hard because I have so many friends that all do exhibits during that same week. So we
Mhm.
can't all go support each other, and then we can't advertise, for each other, because there's only so many hours in a day and people
That's the
can only
point.
go to so many things. Why hasn't a developer established a space for Black art in Miami that they can have all our exhibits showcased
At the
at a
same
place
time.
that we can come and have it, that we don't need to worry about separation? Oh, this one is in Little Haiti, this one is in Little River,
Mhm.
this one is in Overtown, this one is in downtown. No, let's have one space and let us make that space what it is. The same way Art Basel came in and took over the convention center for that week. why isn't there a space that we can actually curate Black art in
Mhm.
Miami during Miami Art Week? I put that
Well,
out there, and I hope they
and
listen.
and extend beyond art week. It's a
Absolutely.
wonderful thing for people to come in and be excited about the art experience for a week, but artists need to live all year round. So how do we make the community sophisticated enough to understand where to look for those types of art? And I kind of briefly shared with you earlier, and I really want you to tap into this as well. um, African art, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of knockoffs out there. I mean, I got to be honest.
Absolutely.
I think I got a knockoff statue right now in my house on some trip I went. How do we make the collector or the potential collector or even the novice fully understand the differences and fully understand the value in having a piece or pieces that are an asset, not just for pretty?
There needs to be more wealth education.
Mm-hmm.
Art is generational wealth. This is what it is. This is an asset towards generational wealth. There is not enough education within our community to understand wealth management, that is
Mm-hmm.
for wealth acquisition. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? To really understand that, I heard the other day on Instagram from this blogger I follow. He said that something that accountants don't teach us, which I learned as well. It is not how much money you make, but how much money you can keep by
Mm-hmm.
shifting and moving around to manage your taxes, not to evade your taxes, because you can't evade them,
Right.
but the shifting in the management to show what is being taxed. You understand?
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
whole
Absolutely.
doesn't have to be taxed. You understand? But this comes from education. We
Absolutely.
have to be able to have the knowledge, right? And really key, I heard on your podcast, a really, really, really intelligent brother that I'm following lately, Orlando Espinosa. He said a thing that we must remember: we cannot take the knowledge with us when we're leaving. It's our duty and our responsibility to share it.
Right.
If we're
Right.
not passing on the knowledge, right, what are we doing? It doesn't always have to be priced. We don't
Absolutely.
always have to tag on a price to something that we can share because someone gifted it to us. Whether it was a university, a mentor, a book, someone gifted it to us. Why would you prevent that from being shared with a young brother or sister that is on their way up? It's there. You understand?
That's
Google gives
true.
it to you for free. So why can't you
Right.
share it? If you
That's
found it, if
true.
you have it, why can't you share it as well?
That's true. Google,
Opportunity,
you can
we
Google
must create
anything.
opportunities for each other. It's
Yeah.
really, really important that we do this.
Now, let me ask then, do you think this is, we all went through the pandemic, and I was really actually quite interested in how sort of the art community saved us spiritually, and
Mhm.
then even in some cases economically. It was powerful to see creatives shine. Unfortunately, in unfortunate circumstances, but that always happens. It sort of feels like every time we go through something, it takes entertainment and creatives to save the day. Um, do you find or you feel like the pandemic is an example of the types of challenges artists and creatives go through on a regular basis, or are there much bigger boogeymen out there when it comes to really developing an industry like this one and being able to maintain and sustain and thrive?
Um, hmm. You asked quite a few different things in
I
that
know
question right
exactly,
there.
exactly.
The art is who we are as a people.
Hmm.
Art is the first level of communication and conversation. It was art.
Hmm.
We must remember this. It is art is not a luxury.
Hmm.
It is a part of who we are. There's been some misconceptions. I go out and I look at art. I look at emerging artists. My mentor is Dr. Babakan Bao.
Hmm.
He teaches me so much about art. Train my eye. Another one is Miss Doreen Young. Teaches me
Hmm.
so much about art to to know what to look for in the art. And
Mhm.
forget about what's trending. What about what is emerging?
Yes.
You know, where do we find those? Where do we go look for that? You know, what is the underground scene?
Hmm.
This is the key. This is what we need to be able to pass on,
Hmm.
because the ones that are already established, they got through the door.
Right.
You understand? They have a platform. How are they using their platform to help the emerging act? And
Right.
this is what we don't see. Because if I got a job as a known artist and I got into one of the great galleries and museums and I have in my exhibit, why wouldn't I bring along an emerging artist? Why do I not hold a workshop for emerging artists? Why
Hmm.
do I feel this is my break? I gotta run with it. I finally got a shot.
Right.
No, that level of selfishness is
Hmm.
what needs to shift in our being.
Okay.
Is once
Yeah,
again, we must focus more on the whole. It's only by focusing on the whole is how we can truly evolve. Too
that's true.
many of us still focus on the individuality. We won't survive. It is not sustainable. It can never be a sustainable model. If you ask how to thrive, we thrive by helping each other, working together, moving together, and looking in the same direction.
Hmm.
If we can do that, this will become an unstoppable force. This is the thing that they fear. That we say, you know what? Okay, this is the Black Art Collective. This is who we are. And in order to get this art, you need to do X, Y, Z.
Right.
If you want this in your museum, you have to go through XYZ, because your museum is no more esteemed than the Black Art Gallery back, because the Jean-Michel that you're fighting about today, he was the little black kid that you didn't want
That
then.
you just missed last week. Exactly.
You understand?
Hmm.
So we must understand the power in who we are. You know, Lao Tzu have a saying that he says, to 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 know their others is wisdom, and
Hmm.
then to know your others intelligence, to know yourself is wisdom, to have power over others is powerful, but to have power over yourself, it is a force to reckon with. You know,
Yeah.
forgive me if I miss up the paraphrasing, but you get the gist of it. We must
We
understand who
understand
we
who
are,
we
how we possess as an individual, and how by bringing this power together that we become a force to reckon with. And this is what we have here in the marketplace.
and so then you're looking at, as an artist, as a creative, then I have to assess my value and my worth. So when looking at my art, if I were to be an artist, how would you tell me to do that? I had an artist on this show who talked a lot about how she priced her work. Um, a white woman who very low, very lucrative business, very talented, but she was able to look at her value of her work not only from the product itself, but the time she put into it and the creativity and what was coming out of her head and her heart. Are you having conversations like that with your artists to
No,
say,
absolutely. Absolutely. But you see, there's a yes and no to that statement, because you as an artist, yes, you know the value of the work that you did. That
mhm,
is one assessment. We get that, right? But then there's also a status quo. There is a model. This is why there are curators and there are assessors. It's just like you could have your house. You can build your house and you could say worth $1 million, but then the appraiser come and tells you it's worth 100K. Who do you think they're going to listen to? The appraiser.
but is the appraisal lower when you're looking at artists of color and uh, artwork that reflects the African diaspora?
No, but there no, because now this is deciding who is appraising your work.
Okay.
What is the ruler that is measuring your work by? Because in this is a discussion me and Dr. Imbo have all the time, because too often, right, we feel that we need to go to the white institution to validate our work,
Right.
or we have to be in the white museum for our work to have value. No, it doesn't. Let's say our value of a work is because of a collector, right? can weigh the value of your work if it gets into this collection, because they just put a monetary value on our work, right? That to the average person seems ridiculous or worthless. But because they can afford that investment and they have the eye and they see the value in that piece, right? It just moves you from A to Z. And this is the things, once again, that go as a collective now. When we can do that, right? We can understand this. You know, there was an artist I was trying to work with last year, Watara Watts in New York, from Ivory Coast, from Cote d'Ivoire. And he was an artist that worked with Jean-Michel. These are guys that hung out together in New York. You understand? And there was another one, I forgot his name, that lives in Colombia right now. All three of them spend time together in New York, working together. If you look at their work without knowing whose is whose, you would think it is all Jean-Michel.
Right.
This is how similar the works were, or are, I should say. But now, to the untrained eye, they would say, okay, well, I want this one or that one. And they'll say, and then the gallery person will come and say, well, no, we want this one, the Jean-Michel, because they saw the name Jean-Michel, because they already place value on the Jean-Michel piece. You see? So we must ask ourselves, where is the investment? Was the investment in the art piece, or was the investment in the person that they decided? Because it was a decision. Because if you look at the artwork in the Good Old Boys Club, right, their rule is what? It's a decision that they make on the work. Because you ever looked at a piece of art and trying to figure, like, what about this art is worth $1 million? Like, what am I missing here? You understand? Something you see, there was a joke. I forgot a European country. I forgot which, Denmark or one of those places, right? They commissioned this artist to do this work, which was great a few years ago. So they commissioned him a second time to do it in the bank, and they paid him a lump sum of money, right? And then he took something. Then he finally submitted the work, right? It was a blank canvas with nothing on it, and then he named the piece "Take the Money and Run." I think it was Finland a day.
That was brilliant.
Yeah,
that is brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. I have to follow up with it because I think you're supposed to return the money or whatever, because I haven't heard. I haven't followed up with the story. But there you go. That in itself shows you sheer brilliance. Because as an artist now, right? Can they tell him no? Because
no.
He commissioned the work. He decide, yes, take the money and run. I'll give you like a blank canvas. That's what I think. That's what I think you commissioned me to do. You understand?
Exactly. Hey, it's all subjective. I feel like this is a great artistic piece that has something, because you're right. I go to the art exhibit sometimes, and I think I told you before, I'm much more intrigued by the artist process, the artist mindset, than the actual work itself. Because sometimes I don't get what's being interpreted. But I remember going to the Louvre, and there was the whole first floor had all these artworks with just fruit in a bowl. And it was like,
and you're like, what? Like, what? Am I still in the Louvre? Is this like a new section? Am I missing something? You know,
we were standing there, three of us looking at each other like, what's the big deal about this? Okay.
Most people don't get it. I look at so much talented people here in Miami. I mean, so much. I mean, for Afrikin last year, our closing day, we had a dance performance by Olujimi Dance Company from Michelle Grant Murray. And I was at a private function once, and I think in 2020, and I saw one person doing a piece of the dance, and I was so wild. I was like, I have to have this dance for Afrikin, because it represented so much of who we are as a people. And, pandemic happened, everything moved around. No, nothing was what it was. But this is how spiritual I am. I believe those things that you want in alignment is going to come back to you. Out of nowhere, it was repositioned. And then now it was repositioned from not just having the one dancer, but to get the whole group to come together to do the dance. And I said, this is how great my God is. My God is so great, right? That he knows my heart, he weighs it, and he decides whether I should have it or not. This is what I believe in. And it was such a powerful piece of artistry, right? To see a honor to the ancestors, but to see Black art in motion, to
Mhm.
really embrace it. You know what I mean? Because I'm a love of dance. I love dance. You know, I've been to Alvin Ailey and watched these performances, and to really understand even Peter London here in Miami, to
Mhm.
really see the beauty of art in motion. We must we must salute this and celebrate this.
Absolutely.
We must celebrate who we are as a people, our culture, and understand. People must understand what African is. You know, I should have led with this. You know, the term African stems from the word Africa in kinship, and to know
Okay.
that we understand the kin, that we must celebrate kinship, celebrate who we are as a people,
Mhm.
celebrate that, you know, we are African. You know, it's the birthplace of civilization. It's a monogenetic fact. You understand? It's
Right.
scientifically proven. They could wrestle with it all they want. I mean, they could hate it as much as they want to hate it. We don't care. We
Right.
understand that this is who we are as a people. We must remove the social constructs of race and
Mhm.
creed and
Okay.
religion and all these different, remove them from the conversation and just say, okay, as a human being,
Right.
is this work I'm looking at here, does this work move me? Does it stir an emotion in me?
Mhm.
Therein we put value. You
Right.
understand?
Right.
The value must come in the emotion. People understand something because emotion is rooted in the subconscious more than the conscious mind.
Right.
That's why, you know, people say when you have a question and you're working through it, you must do the engagement, work through the question. Because
Right.
as you work through the question, you're actually working through the subconscious. You know that thing we call intuition and your gut
Right.
feeling? These
Absolutely.
things are real. We must understand how they impact who we are, how they impact our way of being. Our African tagline is a new way of being. That's our tagline. We must have a new way of being. There must be something different. The old model is proven that it didn't work.
Didn't work.
It
Mhm.
didn't work. How can we shift? Because the world is constantly shifting. We woke up today. Knock on wood, thank the Lord. What can we do different today, Stephanie?
That we
What
did. Yeah.
can we do to make tomorrow and today better? Not just for ourselves, but for the collective. This is what I believe. As individuals, it's our moral responsibility. We have a duty to
Mhm.
just make life better for generations to come. This is our you doing it with this podcast right now.
Well, thank
I'm
you. Thank
grateful.
you.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
right.
grateful for the
That's
opportunity because these conversations must be had. We
right.
must be in a place and create things that people know that there are people out there that thinking like them,
Right.
and even
Exactly.
challenging me. If people
Exactly.
that disagree with my opinion, I welcome the conversation. Convince me, because you want to know what growth is. Because I might have made a decision today or yesterday, and I change my mind tomorrow. It's called growth. That's what it
Because you've
is.
had a chance to be educated and informed.
There you
Mhm.
go. You know,
Mhm.
people used to follow Osho. They used to say he's contradictory. He said, no, I'm not contradictory. What I told you yesterday, I didn't have the information today. So then, not based on this information that I have, I myself dispute what I said yesterday. I don't need you to dispute it for me. I dispute it myself because I don't even agree with it anymore. It's called growth. It's human beings. We're an evolving species. We must remember this. We don't even know what we are. You know what I mean? This
Right.
is how deep it is. We don't know what this thing here we're looking at. We haven't truly understood what it is. We
Absolutely. I
just
agree.
know it's something that's functioning, that we're using, that is evolving each
Right.
day. And in this evolution process, how do we continue to contribute to that growth?
So let me ask this question, and this will be our final question. Right before we hopped on, you talked about an adult coloring book you're selling. Um,
Hey!
I thought that was cool. Show it to everybody. I thought it was cool. It definitely showcases, I'm assuming, some of your artist work that adults now can do at home. Um, many years ago, I've been around for a minute. Art was considered something that was not accessible to all. So to see a coloring book in your hand, and I think we talked about our paths have crossed, and we've been to several events now where it's a thing for adults to have be coloring over in the corner somewhere with a glass of wine. It's just been, I mean, paint with a twist has actually been something. It's a thing, y'all. They making money off that. So it's been interesting to see the pivot and the transformation of art being sort of accessible to every man. What do you attribute that to? And does that really help the global industry to make it accessible to every man?
Absolutely. So art was always accessible. Art never stopped being accessible.
Hmm.
You understand? You levels of art maybe. You understand?
Hmm.
Because for a while they made it very elitist.
Hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
right, we went through this period of time of grand segmentation where
Hmm.
you were not allowed to. You
Hmm.
understand? But here you are not allowed to do what? Because when you think of art now, right? Think of cornrows and cane rows. Like my hair is braided,
That's
and
true.
it's a form
That's
of
true.
artistry, is it
That's
not?
true. You're right. I agree with that.
Our brothers and sisters that they had enslaved in their drumming and their dancing. It's art.
That was a form of art. That's true. And
You
song.
understand?
And
And
song.
song.
Hmm.
So we must not get into the Eurocentric mindset. This is the challenge that we
Hmm.
think that we have to have our art at the Met or the Whitney or
Hmm.
the Museum of you know what I mean? Where our art can be in Ricky's barbershop. You know what I mean? No, for real. Because Ricky's barbershop is a staple in the community.
Absolutely.
So why can't we have our art at Ricky's barbershop?
Absolutely. I mean, you're right. You're right.
You see what I'm saying? We must rid ourselves of the conditioning, because
That's
this is a big part of it, is the conditioning and saying that, you know what, if it's not at XYZ, then it's not good enough. One of the key things that I focus on with Afrikin, right, is to present our events at the highest possible level each and every time. This is
hmm
why we've been to places like New World Center and Agent Arts and just these different, because we want to always present our work at the highest possible level. That it's okay for you to go home and put on a jacket. You give look today. You
hmm
maybe put on a jacket. I would normally be in a t-shirt. You say, all right, I gotta put on.
Me too.
You know,
Me
so
too.
and it's not because that it is a standard that is expected. No,
Mhm.
I did it because you know what? Today I feel good. I'm gonna put on a jacket to talk to Stephanie.
Mhm.
I'm at
Mhm.
home. I could have put on a t-shirt. We will still have the same exact conversation.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
understand? So we must be our authentic self and
Mhm.
be comfortable in that. When we created these African coloring books, we created them not just for adults and teens and kids, because it's an educational tool. It's
Right.
a book that allows you to learn. It's how we call it 99 icons. We have 99 different people of African origin in these books that you could get into the book, color the person. There's a quote to the bottom that you can read to
Okay.
understand what this person said. And then there's a QR code that you click, and you click to the code and you can learn more about this person and
Nice.
really dive into the knowledge of who we are as a people. We must remember who we are. Remember, art is therapy. Yes,
Yeah.
they made a trend into parties and wine tasting and these things and make it cool because people trying to make money, whatever, right? But it is therapeutic. It is a
Absolutely.
cognitive
I
thing.
agree.
We
I
must
agree.
remember that. You know what I mean? Art on a whole is therapy.
Right.
To go to a museum and sit and look at a piece, it is meditative. This
Mhm.
is what it is. It is so healing to not just to design the art, to look at the art, to sit down. I listen to artists speak sometimes to hear their experience when they were doing the piece. And it is so, I mean, transferring, the
Mhm.
energy that you can feel as they speak about it and go through their growing pains and what it is.
Mhm.
Why,
That part
why
would be
wouldn't we pay for that?
for that. Exactly.
Why? I mean,
Exactly. You
what reason in the world do you have to weigh going to the Audi car dealer or wherever to buy a car that depreciates in value as soon as they drive off the lot, mind you,
Mhm.
over this piece of art that will only increase in value?
Look, and we're gonna wrap there just because I want to make sure that's the last thing we hear that
I agree
is
with you.
why wouldn't we pay for that? But before we go, I do want to know, how do we get in touch with you? Because first of all, I do want to get one of those coloring books, and and I want everybody else to get a color book too.
Nah, thank you for that. Well, I'm easy to find. Our website is afrikin.org. It's AFRIKIN, as in kinship, afrikin.org. You can get to our store there. You can get to our art website. You can see all the different artists we work with, see all the diverse coloring books we have, the journals that we have. I am easy to reach. You can reach me at Brooks, my last name, BROOKS, at afrikin.org. Or you can call me at 305-900-5523. We're on all social media platforms at Afrikin Nation. If you think about it, you can find us. I mean, you ask somebody in South Florida, yeah, how can I find Alfonso? How can I find Afrikin? How can I find Rockers? Someone will point you in the direction to find me.
Okay, cool, great. Because we were both saying, we know we've seen each other. Our paths
Exactly.
for sure. So Miami can be a small world sometimes, actually.
It is.
So thank you so much for joining us, but most importantly, thank you for educating us on primarily the wealth and the asset that we can look in when we look at what we can look at when we're looking at just wealth building in totality in our community, and that art can be a part of that conversation. Correct. So thank you so much. You have a great day.
Thank you.
So everybody, hi. That was a good one. That was a really good conversation. I actually am going to be here again next week actually, I'm trying to go to my little calendar here. At 10 a.m., we will be interviewing yet another one of our entrepreneurs. We will be interviewing Tracy Cabanas. She's going to talk to us about wealth building. That's perfect, actually. She's a financier. So definitely I can ask her if she can reiterate a little bit more on that art as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate your support. And he also mentioned that he's done some work at the Adrian Art Center, and I have a great announcement. They are now a partner and a supporter and a promoter of the show. We will definitely be highlighting some of the works that they have coming along. The Alvin Ailey dance troupe will be coming at the end of the year, February 25th through the 26th. And of course, Patti LaBelle, March 18th. So you'll see more about that coming along. So we wanted to make sure we make that quick shout out. Thank you again to everyone. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.